CBS 6 News starts now.
Explosions in Cohoes. As a fire rips through this scrapyard, what we're learning about the facility's past tonight.
A double whammy for water safety. Who officials are targeting for the 4th as hundreds of boats cruise into Schenectady's newest marina.
No break from the heat tomorrow with a sizzling hot 4th, but the heat waves days are numbered.
Plus, Massachusetts signs a new gun law that failed to pass in New York.
We begin tonight with breaking news. A fire tearing through this Cohoes scrapyard tonight.
CBS 6's Emily DeFisciani is at the scene right now. She joins us live from the NH Kelman scrapyard. Emily, what are you learning?
JT, Liz, crews are still busy here. They've been on scene for hours. I want to give you a look at the scene behind me. It does appear now that they have gotten the situation here under control. I just got an update from the Cohoes mayor, Sean Morse. He tells me that some firefighters are being treated for minor injuries, including one who he says had some hearing loss after one of many explosions we heard. We could actually feel the burst of heat even from a few hundred feet away. Take a listen. That is just one example of what we've been witnessing from here on Dyke Avenue. The NH Kelman scrapyard is just across from us on the other side of 787. Cohoes Mayor Morse tells us they've had fires here before, but never to this magnitude. He says nearby residents were told to be ready to evacuate at any moment. Having years of firefighting experience himself, the mayor says this fire is especially difficult to battle because burning metal isn't easily put out with water. Morse says they needed other materials like sand, and they even called the airport to bring in its foam truck. He also says the temperature today has been tough on crews who are wearing 50-plus pounds of gear. Morse says they've been rotating every few minutes to stay safe. And still, even with these conditions, Morse says the city's fire department is well trained to handle any fire.
Cohoes has been tested a lot of times with fires, and you know, they do a great job. And we really appreciate the surrounding communities that came out and helped us today because, again, it's really, really hot, and this is a tough kind of fire to fight.
Now, officials say it's still too early to determine the cause of the fire. Again, it does appear that crews have gotten much of it under control, even from just about an hour ago. And we're also told that all lanes of 787 are still closed at this hour at exit 9. So if you're heading in this direction, it's better to take an alternate route. We're live in Cohoes. I'm Emily DeFisciani, CBS 6 News.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, this is not the first fire at the NH Kelman scrapyard. We reported on a fire there back in 2011. And CBS 6 has learned that same year, the DEC slapped the facility with a violation. It was also hit with a violation in 2009. And in yet another violation in 2013, the DEC found the facility was dumping contaminated stormwater into a drain running parallel to 787.
Had some environmental fines. The state DEC has been down here going back over the years. If they're not on site here, they should be monitoring the air, I would hope.
We'll have more live coverage of this fire in Cohoes throughout this newscast, so stay with us here on CBS 6.
And right now, more troubles for the city of Cohoes. A majority of the eastbound hill section of Cohoes is without power. I just got off the phone with National Grid, who tells me up to 1,300 customers are in the dark right now. The cause is apparently a missing part in a fuse. It has nothing to do with the scrapyard fire. I am told, however, that the fire could be delaying the repair since the National Grid crews are locked in at the fire scene. Right now, the estimated time of repair is midnight. Residents are urged to utilize the cooling stations throughout the city until the power has been restored. And if you'd like a list of those, just head to CBS6Albany.com. New tonight, a 1-2 punch for boat safety. The Schenectady County Sheriff's Office is promising to be on the lookout for intoxicated boaters tomorrow on the 4th of July, while a local assemblyman is calling on the governor to sign his bill that would keep inexperienced boaters off the water. The Rivers Casino in Schenectady is hosting a big fireworks show tomorrow that's expected to bring out hundreds of boats to the new marina there. Keeping everyone safe is the job of Lieutenant Jason Temple from the Schenectady County Sheriff's Office. He and the sheriff's boat team will be patrolling the water looking for any signs of drunkenness. Temple says that spotting BWIs is tricky.
What we look is for erratic operation, stupid stuff on a boat, like somebody bow riding. You know, we can pull them over. You know, stuff like that. That would maybe tell us that somebody's intoxicated on the boat, but you know, still tricky.
And then there are boaters who just don't know enough about what they're doing. Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara has a bill waiting for the governor's signature right now that would require a state-approved boating course for anyone taking a boat out on New York waters. He says New York ranks third highest in the nation in terms of boating accidents.
In more than 80% of those accidents, the boat operator had no experience or no knowledge of boating whatsoever.
Santa Barbara says there are nearly 500,000 powerboats registered in New York, and officials estimate that only about a third of their owners have taken a boating safety course.
All new tonight, Albany police are investigating a shooting in the Tenbrook neighborhood this afternoon. Authorities say a 40-year-old man was shot in the arm and taken to Albany Med for non-life-threatening injuries. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
Right now, a former teacher at a Saratoga Springs elementary school is facing 10 years behind bars after pleading guilty to sexually assaulting a child. Prosecutors say Elizabeth Barthelmess maintained a sexual relationship with a former Dorothy Nolan elementary school student in the years 2007 and 8. She'll receive sentencing for the felony rape charge on September 5th. A deadly new drug has made its way to the streets of the capital region for the very first time. A special agent from the DEA is confirming that an animal tranquilizer known as carfentanil has been discovered in Gloversville. Now, authorities say 25-year-old Justin Brooker attempted to sell $350 worth of the carfentanil to a confidential informant. This synthetic opioid used on elephants is 10,000 times more potent than morphine.
We know that it came from another location in the Capital District area, and we're following up leads, looking into figuring out where that came from.
The DEA says a lethal dose of carfentanil is the equivalent to a fraction of a grain of salt, posing a large risk to anyone, including law enforcement, who encounters the drug.
A young woman seriously injured in a horrific tour boat explosion in the Bahamas is back in the United States tonight. 22-year-old Stephanie Schaefer of Rutland, Vermont, is in a medically induced coma after she suffered severe injuries and had both of her legs amputated just below the knee. That's all according to her uncle, who lives in Saratoga County. She's currently being treated at a hospital in Broward County, Florida. Stephanie's school, Castleton University in Vermont, shared a GoFundMe page to help her and her family during their road to recovery. We've got a live look at the page right now. It has already surpassed $120,000. If you'd like to donate, head to our website. It's cbs6albany.com. We've got all the details there. Developing right now, a second town mayor in the Philippines has been shot and killed by an unknown assailant. Officials say the mayor appears to be the victim of a drive-by shooting. This just 24 hours after another mayor was assassinated by a sniper in broad daylight. Reportedly, that mayor had been placed on a so-called narco list, a list of people allegedly associated with the drug trade. The president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, is notorious for his war against drugs, which has claimed the lives of thousands of drug users and dealers. It's unclear right now if the murders of the two mayors are linked.
New tonight, a victory for gun law reform advocates in Massachusetts tonight. Governor Charlie Baker signed the red flag bill into law today. It allows someone with close ties to a legal gun owner to petition to have their gun taken away if they exhibit dangerous behavior. It would allow for temporary removal of firearms from people considered a danger to themselves or others. New York tried and failed to pass a similar bill last month. Also new tonight, a challenge to a controversial question that the Trump administration wants added to the 2020 census. The administration planned to ask people filling out the census forms if they are U.S. citizens. About 24 states, including New York, have sued the U.S. government over the question. And tonight, a federal judge says those challenges are strong enough to go forward. Supporters of the question will help the Department of Justice enforce the Voting Rights Act.
CBS 6 investigates tonight potentially dangerous and certainly unsightly conditions at a zombie property in an upscale Rensselaer County neighborhood are now being fixed, in part after a story we aired last week. The former home of former New York Lieutenant Governor Mary Donahue in Brunswick had been abandoned after she moved out and her ex-husband passed away. Neighbors were frustrated with the property's general state of disrepair. Shortly after our story aired, crews that we believe were hired by the bank involved with the foreclosure showed up and spent several days cleaning the property. President Trump says his administration is in talks with motorcycle companies that want to move production to the United States. This after Harley-Davidson announced it would start producing motorcycles outside the U.S. Harley blamed the decision on tariffs imposed by the European Union in retaliation against President Trump's tariffs on EU products.
A Guatemalan mother is overjoyed tonight after being reunited with her children this morning in New York City. Yenny Gonzalez was separated from her 3 children at the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona. She was driven cross-country by volunteers after her release from an Arizona detention center. Gonzalez thanked God and her supporters after the private meeting at the Cayuga Center, the agency that placed her children in foster care. Gonzalez says she reminded her 3 young children of her promise that she would find them.
I hope to God this process moves as quickly as possible because I don't want to ever leave their arms again.
A New York City congressman who helped organize the reunion says he wants to see more reunions like this in the future.
Coming up next, the heat wave claims one of its first victims in the Adirondacks.
Our Capital Region officials are working to prevent further tragedies.
Plus, National Grid working around the clock to keep your air conditioners running during the heat wave. The reason officials say things are actually running more smoothly this year.
And it is heat wave day 5 for your 4th of July, and that means temperatures once again surging into the 90s, but the end is in sight. I am tracking the heat buster and when those temperatures and dew point values will be dropping back.